Final quick words on immigration as we talk to Carl Parker, former state senator for the great state of Texas. Tell me about this matter of this deportation executive order the president says he wants to put forth. Is it good? I know your party has at times talked about the economic benefits of immigration. These are undocumented immigrants. The president has, reports at least have said the president wants to immediately, with the stroke of a pen, legalize up to 6 million undocumented immigrants in America. Is this a legal action? If it's a legal action, is it the proper action to take by way of executive order?
It's hard to say whether it's legal or not because it depends on what the executive order does. He's got a right to direct an administrative agency. Mm-hmm. There's certain things that should be left to Congress, and that's who really should deal with the integration. Last time we had amnesty by a president was under Ronald Reagan. You know, but
and look how well that turned out.
Yeah, something needs to be addressed by Congress.
It does need to be addressed. I think both parties on a bipartisan level have said it needs to be addressed. Does it send a very bad message if the president does this by executive order, though?
Well, it depends on what the executive order is. You know, for example, with these children crossing the border, you could have an executive order about how to treat them and how to set up the process to have them have a hearing. But to just blanket say they can all stay would not be legal, I think, in my opinion.
It's good to know that a United States House of Representatives committee is hard at work, as we've known this Congress to be. Known this Congress to be. A House committee has asked for outgoing Attorney General Eric Holder to be held in contempt. Reference his work with the Fast and Furious documents that Republicans say he has steadfastly refused to turn over and still hasn't evidently turned over. Should he be held in contempt of court? Is this a wise use of the United States House committee?
No, that's just showboating.
Fast and Furious is just something to be, put behind us set aside.
They've investigated. They found no criminal conduct there whatsoever. They just want to keep beating on the poor old guy because they don't like what he does.
Well, he's outgoing. He's just kicking the horse, kicking the guy when he's down. Kent Batman.
He could end this. He could just turn over the documents. He's been ordered by 2 courts to turn over the documents, and he keeps saying, "I don't want to." Yeah. Well, we don't like that. It reminds us of Nixon, somebody you mentioned earlier.
I think the problem, Kevin, here that we're addressing is that the White House has managed to foster a culture of incompetence, and I think what you're seeing on this. I mean, when you said a second ago, just the double talk that you're getting.
Culture of incompetence.
It's the double talk that we're coming across. I mean, a minute ago, the former state senator mentioned that he doesn't want to support abortion, yet he starts listing all his support for women's rights, and supposedly all this double talk is not what gets us anywhere. Okay, we got to have direct responses to direct answers to the questions that we're posing.
Carl Parker, culture of incompetence. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is at one of its highest points in U.S. history. Culture of incompetence?
Oh, I doubt that. He's kept us out of war. We haven't had a Bush war since he got in. We hadn't killed 7,000 American troops on a phony war. You want to talk about hiding the ball? Just look up here in Austin between the current Attorney General and the current outgoing governor. They've raked off hundreds of millions of dollars, giving it to their buddies at election time, claiming that it produced more jobs in Texas, and they can't document where half of them produced any jobs.
Will it be something that hurts the Abbott campaign, Kent Batman?
I don't think there's anything that can hurt the Abbott campaign at this point. It's going to be a pretty sizable landslide.
If true, that is a level of largesse that possibly should be that possibly should be troubling to Texans, should it not?
Provide evidence.
Well, plus you could ask the question, do we really need a government agency that gives money to one company so that they'll move over here? Is that the nature of government?
And in response to the war bit, I mean, since I checked, Obama has gotten us the 3 minor skirmishes, and I believe we're fighting around Syria right now. So
I did wonder
do check your sources on that.
Is it military action? There have been a
depends on if it's a war or not.
Yeah. At least he got congressional authorization. Bush did.
Well, and the
Well, it
loss
still
of
has
life is.
congressional authorization. I agree with Ross Perot. You know, you ought to commit the people first and then commit the troops, you know.
Okay.
We did that on a lie back under Bush.
I
And we haven't sent huge amounts of troops, boots on the ground, to the Syrian conflict.
We are calling
But
them
yet you're using
observers.
old legislation to do a new action, which is, by the way, unconstitutional.
Which is
Look it up.
exactly what Bush did.
Oh, no, it's not. He
Oh,
went
sure
to
it
Congress.
is. Sure it
Your
is.
guy did not.
We'll have to come back and talk Wendy Davis next time with Carl Parker. I know you guys feel bad about not getting enough to talk about there. And we'll do that on Southeast Texas Weekly when we return next time in 2 weeks. Southeast Texas Weekly, of course, will be back next week with some of my comrades and colleagues. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
Senator.
Southeast Texas Weekly, brought to you by the Modern Vein Surgery Institute at Privity Clinic for Surgical Care.